Coming up on the 49ers Report, a way too early 53-man roster projection. But first, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Here at the 49ers Report, we're bringing you the latest news and rumors. We're on the road to 36,000 subscribers. We go live every single Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. And lastly, Harrison Graham, my boy, who's the host of Chicago Bears Now here at Chat Sports, has been pleading for Bears fans to subscribe to that channel, which has a little more than 27,000 subscribers, to catch up to the 49ers Report. So let's distance ourselves. Bears, 49ers, it's not even a comparison. So subscribe right now by hitting that big red button down below or go to youtube.com/49erstv. Welcome into the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I am Chase Sr. Coming up on today's show, a way too early look at who's going to make this 53-man roster for the San Francisco 49ers. Who's in, who's out. We look at every single position group, and there were some pretty difficult decisions to make, so let's get into it here. We start off with the quarterbacks. The first two, very, very easy. I believe Jimmy Garoppolo is going to obviously make this team and start from week one. Trey Lance is going to be the backup and play whenever he is ready, whether that's this year or in the future. And the big decision is who's going to be the third string quarterback. It's going to be between Josh Rosen as well as Nate Sudfeld. I'm going to go ahead and say Josh Rosen is going to make the 53-man roster because of pedigree alone. Nate Sudfeld signed with this team after being the long-term backup with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the 49ers are high on Josh Rosen, and he is QB3. To the running back room. Some really difficult decisions to make, and when you look at the grand scheme of things, I think the most difficult choices to make on this roster comes down to the running backs. Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Wayne Gallman, Trey Sermon all make this team. Kyle Juszczyk as the fullback, which is somewhat rare when you look across the NFL because a lot of teams don't have fullbacks, so that kind of makes things a little bit difficult. And on the outside looking in right now, Elijah Mitchell, 6th-round pick, does not make the 53-man roster as of now, although he's been impressing during rookie minicamps, especially catching the ball out of the backfield. JaMycal Hasty also out. So too is Josh Hockett. I think what could happen during training camp, maybe the 49ers contact a running back needy team, and they trade away a Jeff Wilson or a Raheem Mostert. A lot to play out there, but so far, those are the guys who make this running back position group. And this comes down to team philosophy. Some teams on the 53-man roster like to keep 3 running backs, others 4, maybe 5, even 6. Maybe a guy like Elijah Mitchell is let go and then re-signed to the practice squad, but then that kind of opens up the 49ers to losing him to another team. They obviously like him and his 4.3 speed. But let me know how many running backs should the 49ers keep. Get into the comments and get your votes in 3, 4, 5, or 6. I'm interested to see what Kyle Shanahan does. Let's pivot to the wide receivers now. Deebo Samuel is a stud. So too is Brandon Ayuk. He was great as a rookie, hurt a little bit. I think he takes an even bigger jump in year 2. Mohamed Sanu was brought back to reunite with Kyle Shanahan. I think he's going to get a lot of reps at the slot, so his position on this roster is safe. Jalen Hurd also makes the team as well. So too does Richie James. And I'm high on this Marquise Lee signing. Yes, he hasn't played since 2019. He's dealt with a lot of knee injuries as well as shoulder injuries. And injuries have certainly been a problem, but I think he has the potential to be possibly the wide receiver 4 on this team, especially with the concerns that Jalen Hurd has with injuries the past couple of years. And frankly, I think it's a pretty fun story to root for. The wide receivers on the outside currently looking in. Trent Sherfield, who could realistically totally make this roster. Travis Benjamin, who's in his 9th season. Jawan Jennings, who's in his 2nd season and has flashed at times, as well as River Craycraft, who is in his 4th season. Those guys currently not making the cut for this 53-man roster. What do you think about Marquise Lee? Signed that 1-year deal after that rookie minicamp tryout over the weekend. Do you think he makes the squad? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm going to go ahead and type my Y, and it's a story that I want to root for because he had gotten the bag while with the Jacksonville Jaguars after being a 2nd-round pick, tore up his knee. I think this is a good comeback story. Want to hit on the tight ends now. George Kittle, hey, one of the best and most dynamic tight ends across the National Football League. He's, of course, safe on this roster. And like running back, this comes down to team philosophy. How many tight ends does Kyle Shanahan want to keep? Could it be 3? Could it be 4? Last year going into opening day, Kyle Shanahan kept 4 tight ends, so that's what I'm moving forward with. George Kittle, Ross Dwelly, Charlie Warner, Daniel Helm all make this roster, which gives you a little bit of flexibility both in the passing game, the running game, and as well as goal line sets too. What do you think Kyle Shanahan is going to do with the tight end position group? Look into the crystal ball. Predict it for me. Think he's going to carry 4? If so, type 1 for yes. If you think he's going to go with maybe 3, type 2 for no. He's not going to keep 4 tight ends. An area of focus for the 49ers this past offseason was certainly offensive line. Trent Williams, record-breaking contract for a left tackle, secured the bag. He's obviously going to make this team and be a stalwart at left tackle. Laken Tomlinson, still a really good guard. Alex Mack also secured the bag as well. I think he, even though is in his mid-30s, is going to be able to be a reliable and really quality center for Kyle Shanahan's offense, which really emphasizes the center position. Daniel Brunskill, Mike McGlinchey also make this team. So too does Aaron Banks, the second-round pick out of Notre Dame, who did not give up a sack last year with the Fighting Irish. Has some flexibility to his game, also really, really physical. I think that bodes well, both running the ball and protection as well. Colton McKivitz, I have him making this roster too, and Jalen Moore, who played left tackle at Western Michigan. The 49ers envision him playing more guard, but I think the flexibility of him playing guard, but also being able to swing out to left tackle, bodes well and helps him make this roster over guys like Justin School, Sean Coleman, and Tom Compton. Certainly some interesting decisions that the 49ers are going to have to make when it comes to offensive line depth, but I think at the end of the day, they go with some of these rookies because they see the upside and also they exhausted draft capital at those positions. Here's something to keep an eye on moving forward. It's the Weston Richburg situation. All signs point to him retiring because injury issues have ravaged what once looked like a very promising career. He is currently on the roster, occupying a roster spot, but if he does retire, that's of course going to open up a vacant hole on the offensive line. So one of those guys could either be added to the 53-man roster once that does come to fruition, or they could look elsewhere to bring in another offensive lineman. So we're about halfway through this 53-man roster projection. We're going to shift to the defensive side of the ball here in just a second, but name a player I should have cut on offense. You can let me know if my opinions here are trash. Get into the comments and let me know one player I should have cut on offense. The 49ers report today is made possible thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. The best deal going on of any sportsbook out there, thanks to our friends at BetUS. You go to chatsports.com/49bet, enter the promo code Niners125, and you get a 125% deposit bonus, meaning if you deposit $100 in your account using that link at the bottom of your screen, as well as that promo code, you get $225 of basically free money that you can wager on anything. I'm talking future bets in the NFL concerning the 49ers. Or maybe you want to wager and put some lettuce on the NBA play-in tournament. How about Warriors-Lakers tonight at the Staples Center? Warriors enter this matchup 5.5-point underdogs. That line opened at around 7.5. It's gone down to 5.5. Or if you want to lay some money down on your beloved San Francisco 49ers, you can do so. And I think there's some good value here. 49ers currently plus 175 to win the NFC West in what could be one of the best divisions in football, if not the best. They're plus 550 to win the NFC and 14-1 odds to win the Super Bowl. I might put some money down for the 49ers to win the Super Bowl at that good value. Once again, use that link at the bottom of your screen as well as the promo code Niners125. Excited to shift over to the defensive side of the football, and we start with the biggest strength on defense for DeMeco Ryans, who enters his first year as the defensive coordinator for this team after Robert Saleh took that head coaching job with the New York Jets. Nick Bosa, I think he's due for a breakout season coming off that torn ACL, I think he's due for double-digit sacks. Eric Armstead, also safe to make this roster. Did you see how Javon Kinlaw reported to offseason workouts the other day. Guy looks bulked up, and his lunchbox was massive. Looks like he's put a bunch of food in there, eaten a bunch of protein to get jacked up. I think he could have a breakout season after being drafted in the first round a season ago. Samson Ebukam comes to the 49ers from the Los Angeles Rams. DJ Jones also got a nice contract worth more than $3 million. And as we look forward with this defensive line, I think Maurice Hurst, who comes to the 49ers from the Raiders, is going to make this team. So too is Zach Kerr, Kevin Givens, Arden Key, who also comes to the 49ers from the Las Vegas Raiders. And the big question, the big decision on the defensive line group, Dee Ford, coming off neck and back injuries. If he flashes in training camp and is able to show that he is healthy, I think he's a shoo-in to make this roster after the 49ers restructured his contract. If he looks injured, if he looks hampered, I think he's an easy cut. So what do you think, the faithful? Will Dee Ford make the final roster? Right now, I have him doing so. Type M for yes, he's going to make it. Type W for he won't make it. The linebacker group. I love Fred Warner, one of those players last year who I didn't even watch the football when I watched the 49ers play on defense. I watched him. Sideline to sideline guy who can wreak havoc, and all-pro. Dre Greenlaw, rookie all-first team back in 2019 after being a late-round pick. He is easily going to make this roster too. These last two guys, Azeez Al-Shahir and Nate Gary, if other guys outperform them in training camp, they could get cut easily. Nate Gary is an interesting guy because he's terrible in coverage, pretty good against the run, played safety at Nebraska, struggled at times converting to linebacker with the Eagles, but the 49ers obviously saw something in him to bring him in. I have him making this team. Let's get the cornerback now. Jason Verrett back on a one-year deal. I really like the value of that free agent signing. Emmanuel Mosley, Kawan Williams also back too. I like the making of the secondary group for this 49ers defense. Ambry Thomas, a lot of people are really high on him. So am I. I think he's a shoo-in to make this team. Diamador Lenore, a really good story. Rookie draft pick out of Oregon. His late brother who was shot down in Los Angeles a couple years ago. The 49ers were his favorite team. Now Diamador Lenore gets to honor his brother. I think he does make this team. So too does Dante Johnson. Look, these 49ers cornerbacks that I currently have missing the 53-man roster, they can all play. Wouldn't surprise me if a couple of these guys end up finding other jobs elsewhere across the NFL. Tim Harris, Ken Webster, Mark Fields, Brian Booty Calhoun, as well as Adonis Alexander. Tough decisions to make, but I think the 49ers once again go with their draft picks and young guys with upside to get them ready for the future when some of those veterans might leave town, and you also have to factor in those financial constraints too. Here's one thing to monitor. A Richard Sherman signing would change a lot of things. One, he could fill a hole both starting if a cornerback goes down with an injury. He could also be a depth piece. I've talked about this on the 49ers report that I like the prospects of him kind of tutoring some of these younger cornerbacks too. Richard Sherman can still play and still wants to play for another couple of seasons. As we know, he's still on the market and is willing to come back to the 49ers with a little reunion. So that could certainly change things, and I think that would really complete this secondary. So we'll see what happens on the Richard Sherman forefront. Last position group on this defense, safeties. Jimmy Ward, Jaquiski Tartt, Tarvarius Moore, and I think Talanoa Hufanga, late round pick out of USC, who can both play safety as well as linebacker, a little bit of a hybrid guy. I think that versatility really helps him in making this roster, and I think the safety group is both deep and really talented with guys like Ward and Tartt, who we've seen are very productive players on this 49ers defense. How about the safeties who might not make this team? Because Talanoa Hufanga, the draft pick, might outplay them, and his versatility is a little bit more valuable than these guys. Also, he plays special teams too. Marcel Harris, I don't have him making the cut for this 53-man roster. I don't have Tavon Wilson making it. A veteran, yeah, maybe. Jared Maiden in his second season, I don't have him making the roster either. And Kai Nasua, who the 49ers kind of like. This comes down to having to make some really, really difficult decisions with a lot of depth, youth, and experience, but these are the four guys who I have not making the 53-man roster. I want to ask you this because the 49ers definitely put an emphasis on bulking up this secondary, adding depth and starting talent. What do you think about how this secondary unit is looking right now? Type G for, I think it's great, one of the best in the league, or if you're lukewarm on this secondary, just type O for okay. Get your votes in the comment section. We round out with the specialists because kickers, punters, and long snappers, they're people too, right? And you have to fill out the roster. Robbie Gould, as long as he doesn't get hurt, he's going to be the kicker for this team. Mitch Wishnowsky, going to be the punter for this squad. And Tabor Pepper, going to be the long snapper. As long as these guys are healthy and don't have disastrous training camps, they round out the 53-man roster for this all too early 49ers projection. Yo, tell me what's up. Who did I miss? Name a player in the comment section down below who you think I should have put on this roster, but I didn't. I'm going to go back through in the comment section, see what you guys come up with, and maybe you'll sway me for a future 49ers 53-man projection. Get your comments in down below.